Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our 2023 STEM Scholars Meeting information session. Very excited you were able to take some time out of your day to come chat with us, learn a little bit more about the Scholars Meeting and your roles during that meeting. We're going to take a few minutes at the top here to just give people a little extra time to join. But in the meantime, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Feel free to either rename yourself or in the chat feature, share what school you're from. And we'd love to know one thing you would like scholars to get out of attending this year's scholar meeting. Oh, I love some of the things that are being shared in the chat. They're really good goals for the scholars to have for the meeting and things we can definitely help to support and encourage them to do. So very, very excited to be hosting this meeting with all of you. Great emphasis on mentoring and making those connections, getting prepared for new opportunities and different pathways they can take. Uh, these are all the things that we're really excited about, and I'm glad everyone else is excited about them too. But I'd say we're probably at a good number of attendees. Obviously, we'll still have a few people trickling in over the next few minutes, but want to make the most of our time together today. So we'll go ahead and jump into today's info session. We're going to kick things off with some introductions and talk a little bit about the objectives of today's session. We'll go through the entire Scholars Meeting program. We'll talk a lot about the opportunities for all of you as meeting mentors to assist with everything going on during the meeting. Talk a little bit about meeting logistics, make sure you have all your questions answered before you start traveling to the meeting. And then we'll also do a little bit of information sharing. We'll talk about how you can continue the conversation, really support some of those goals that you mentioned about helping students with networking and mentoring. And then there will be plenty of time at the end for question and answers. But before we hop into that program, I just want to do a few housekeeping items. So as all of you are already following along, please remember to keep your microphones on mute when you're not speaking. There will be plenty of opportunity to unmute to either ask questions verbally or through the chat later on. As you can see, the chat feature is enabled, so feel free to type questions or comments in the chat box at any time throughout today's session. Please feel free to rename yourself, including your pronouns and your institution if you'd like. And you can leave your camera on throughout the session or leave it off, whatever is most comfortable for you. We have closed captioning available. If you're not seeing it currently, please be sure to click the live transcript or CC button at the bottom of the screen. But we will also be recording today's session, and we will have presentation slides available after today on our website. And if for whatever reason you run into any questions or have trouble throughout today's session, please feel free to reach out to Rachel. She can be reached at ourstivers@AAAS.org or through the chat. And so with that, we'll do some quick introductions of the AAAS staff that is on this call. My name is Jamila Blake, she, her. I am the project manager for the STEM Rec. So I work a lot on working on engagement with the scholars community. I work on our communications and really support our team here to make sure that we're able to offer lots of professional development and put on our annual meeting. With that, I will pass things over to Rachel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Stivers. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a senior program associate here at AAAS, where I work across several of our programs, but I do help our STEM rec with all things logistics. So I'm very excited you all are here. I've probably emailed with most of you at this point, so it's nice to put some faces to names. Janice, maybe do you want to go next?
Thanks, Rachel. My name is Denise Lim, and I'm the event operations manager for our IC department. Same with Rachel. I also work with multiple projects within the IC team. Glad to be here, and let us know if you have any questions. Pass it on to Tara.
Hi, everyone. So good to see you all virtually. We're really excited to meet you in person in, wow, just a few weeks away. I'm Tara King. I'm the project coordinator for the REC. And my role really is to help coordinate all of the many pieces of the REC. You'll see on this slide some of the major components that the REC accomplishes. And we're also happy to be joined with a program officer from National Science Foundation, our colleague, Mike Ferrara.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Ferrara. As Tara said, I'm one of the co-lead program officers from the STEM program. I've been really excited to work closely with Tara and the whole team, Tara and Jamila most, but the whole team to plan this meeting and some of our prior meetings. I just want to say it's tremendous to see so many familiar faces and names out there. We were blown away with how overwhelming the response was, how many PIs wanted to come and be mentors for this meeting. And every time Tara has sent out a message saying, hey, does anybody want to do this or that? Too many people say yes. We had to figure out how to throttle it back so we didn't have to keep sorting through all of you, because you're also willing to do so much tremendous work on behalf of the scholars. As many of you know, this is the first time we're doing this for STEM. This is our very first scholar meeting. And we are extremely excited. We are slotted in to have at least 4 more. And so not only are we so happy for all of your hard work and all of your energy and everything that you are doing and are going to do at the meeting, we are going to be very grateful for all the little notes you scratch down and wherever you put your feedback, so you can tell us what worked and what didn't work and what we can do better next time. So I won't hold this up anymore because I know Tara and the whole team have a whole bunch planned, but thank you very much again.
Thanks so much, Mike. So we're just going to start giving a very, very brief overview of the REC, which stands for Resource and Evaluation Center. Next slide, please, Jamila. So the REC really serves to support the STEM programs, as well as the STEM PIs and co-PIs, the projects, and the STEM scholars, and also to help NSF increase the effectiveness of the portfolio by collecting evidence of outcomes and impacts across the project. So there's many components of work in which the REC is carrying out. The scholars meeting is a very large component. It's the main avenue through which we are able to support the STEM scholars. The other way we're able to support scholars not in the meeting is also through building virtual communities and discussion groups, which Jamila has done a wonderful job in establishing those. Next slide, please. So to carry out all this great work, we are partnering with organizations, including University of Washington CERC as our external evaluator, QEM Network, Quality Education for Minorities Network. They're helping us to engage more minority-serving institutions into STEM programs and activities. AIR, American Institutes of Research, are helping us with that outcomes and impacts project across the portfolio. And we have MNA, who helps with our technical evaluation assistance. And we have actually with us today, Kavita and Nina from MNA, and I want to give them a chance to say hi. Kavita?
Thank you, Tara. Hi, everyone. I am Kavita Mutapalli, and I have my colleague Nina de la Salas. We are from MN Associates, Inc. So we are the evaluation TA providers. Some of you may have attended our webinars and a session we had, discussion session in June regarding evaluation and research and generation of knowledge. So we will be doing more webinars in the coming months. At the same time, both of us, Nina and I, will be in attendance at the scholars meeting and, come up and say hi to us. We don't have any designated office hours as such or any session this time, but we'll be happy to field any questions that you may have regarding generation of knowledge or evaluation. So thank you again and hope to see you all soon. Thanks. Back to Tara.
Thanks, Kavita. Next slide, please. Great. So we'll just jump right in talking about the main goals and overview of the STEM Scholars Meeting. As Mike said, this is the very first Scholars convening. In the past, PIs have been convened on an every other year basis. So we're extremely excited to, for the first time, convene approximately 1,000 STEM scholars from schools across the country, as well as in, I believe it's in Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico as well. So it's really such a great opportunity. We're very excited. So with that, we want to connect the STEM scholars to one another, to faculty, and to potential employers and potential graduate school programs. We really want to build community amongst the STEM scholars and help facilitate really, beneficial connections to them. We also want to help them learn about and explore diverse STEM career pathways. We want to open their eyes to careers and pathways that they may have never known about or thought was possible for them. We're going to have them engage in professional and career development activities, mainly through the forms of workshops that are being facilitated by meeting mentors, being facilitated by you all. So we really appreciate you in coordinating those activities. And also we're going to have the opportunity for scholars to present their research through poster presentations. We'll have 2 sessions of those, and I believe we have about 190 students presenting posters, so we're really excited about that. And I think one of the top things that scholars themselves are really excited about is the opportunity to travel to DC and explore the area. We'll give them opportunities to explore nearby museums. So with that, let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So we will, for open on Thursday, September 14th, we will have a registration desk available starting at 1:00 p.m. on at the Marriott Marquis, and we encourage people to come and check in at that, anytime between 1 and 8 as they come in. The first formal session will be an opening dinner plenary. We'll have Dr. Jay Gardner provide some really inspirational words about her work and her path to becoming, she's at Fox Chase Cancer Center Research, and she does amazing science communication and outreach through art and graphics. So that's very exciting. And following that, we'll have our poster session, which will occur at the same time as our career and education fair. So attendees will have the opportunities to visit posters as well as speak with representatives from industry, from nonprofit organizations, and from graduate schools to ask questions and find more information about opportunities. So Friday, September 15th is our full day of programming. We're going to start with a breakfast plenary panel where we have representatives from Student Opportunities who will provide very brief flash talk information sessions. And after that, it'll be a Q&A panel where, they can explore ideas about what makes strong applications for things like, let's see, we have representatives from NSF GRFP program. We have somebody from Goldwater Scholarship, somebody from Marshall Scholarship, and some other opportunities. So really want to open their eyes to these opportunities and talk about applying to them and creating strong applications. Following that, we'll have our second poster session and career and education fair. So this will be similar to the previous day's session, except there will be different students presenting posters. Our lunch plenary panel will be on diverse STEM career pathways. We're really excited about this. We actually have George Mason University President Washington, who will be the moderator of this panel. It'll have 4 panelists in very diverse careers, and actually 2 of the 4 are STEM alumni, so we're also very excited about that. Following that, we have 2 sessions of concurrent professional development workshops. These are the workshops facilitated by meeting mentors, and students will have the opportunities to choose which workshop sessions they would like to go to in each of these sessions. The end of the day concludes with opportunities for students to visit nearby museums in the DC area. So on our last day, we're going to have breakfast discussion tables. So this is an opportunity for students and mentors to talk with one another around table topics that we have at the tables. So they can pick a table with a topic of interest and kind of meet new people and talk with one another. And we'll have our closing plenary featuring Dr. Ariel Leonard, who will also provide very great comments about her path to where she is now. She's a faculty member at Ohio State University. And we'll have one more opportunity for students to go visit DC museums. And, you know, with that, that would be the end of our meeting. So we want to provide information about opportunities for the meeting mentors to assist in the meeting and assist in providing support to scholars. You likely have seen this link or seen a call for this form for you to fill out. As Mike said, we've had great, overwhelming response from meeting mentors who are volunteering to do things, and we have the difficult task of figuring out who to put where, when, and we want to make sure if we assign people, we want to assign them to things that they are available to do and that they have interest in doing. So that's the reason behind this form we created. So if you haven't yet filled it out, we encourage you to do so that we can put you somewhere to help out in some of these areas. So one of the major areas is escorting students to museums. All of the museums that students will be visiting are free and open to the public, and they're also within walking distance. So what we need here are mentors who will lead over small groups of students. We'll have designated meeting points at the hotel for student groups to meet, and just guide them by walking them over to the museum. Once students are at the museum, they're able to freely tour the museum on their own, and meeting mentors are not responsible for walking them back. They can, you know, come and go and find their way back. We'll also need assistance with workshops. So many of you already are facilitating workshops, and we've had discussions about that, and thank you so much for volunteering your time in that area. But for those who are not leading workshops, we would like to see who's available to provide extra support or extra hands for the people facilitating those workshops. The workshops will likely be large, just given the numbers. So the more people we have in a room, I think the better. We'll be able to like scatter around and help facilitate conversations and help the facilitator however is needed. Another thing we have is the Ask Me Anything or Genius Bar advisors. So during the education and career fairs, we want to have a few tables with meeting mentors there who are very knowledgeable and friendly and welcoming, where students can literally ask them anything about getting involved in research, about student opportunities, you know, very welcoming and supportive, and being able to guide and help students with their questions related to research, professional development, and continuing their education. And the last area we have is the breakfast discussion table topics, which I had mentioned earlier. So if you would like to kind of be a lead facilitator sitting at one of those tables or based on a topic, we would assign you to a table topic there, and you can help facilitate conversation. That would be on the morning of the 16th.
Tara?
Mm-hmm.
And all the things that Tara was just talking about, where we're asking you to see if you can share some more of your time that you've already generously given. I've said in a couple of meetings with some of the folks running workshops, you may be coming with just a few of your own students from your institution, but we really want to encourage you to have the mindset that you're there with 1,000 of your scholars. Every single one of you is there with 1,000 of your own scholars, and you feel like you have the same responsibility and try to make the same connection with them as you do to the ones that came with you from home. There's going to be a lot of this is going to be the first big trip for a lot of students. There's going to be a lot of heads on a swivel. They're going to feel overwhelmed. If you see somebody who looks like maybe they're spinning a little bit, or they just need somebody to talk to, well, I'm going to say be aggressive, but I don't mean it in that way. I mean, go ahead and just reach out and say, hey, can I help? And I know that's sort of the mindset you're all bringing, but we just want to make sure we reinforce that. This is going to be real new for a lot of these scholars.
Thanks, Mike. That's a great point. Not all scholars know faculty who will be there, so there'll be a good number who don't have a familiar faculty face around. So it's really helpful for the meeting mentors to be able to support all of the students, as well as AAAS staff and NSF program officers. We really want to create a supportive and friendly and welcoming environment. So there's lots of logistics with such a large meeting. We want to make sure that we cover your questions related to this and provide good information for you. Starting with registration and travel booking, thank you all for registering and booking your travel. It's now closed. If you need to retrieve a confirmation about your travel, please contact Amex. You should have received a hotel reservation confirmation directly from the Marriott Marquis or the Courtyard. If you haven't done so, please shoot us an email and we'll get that resent to you, but the reservations have been made. One note about this, because we have over 1,000 people attending this meeting, we couldn't all fit in the Marquis, so we reserved some rooms at the Marriott, which is directly across the street from the Marquis, and we've done our best to keep groups from the same schools in the same hotels, so they're not split up amongst those two hotels. Ground transportation. So scholars are responsible and meeting mentors are responsible for arranging and their own ground transportation from the airport or the train station to the hotel. And these expenses will be reimbursed, but since we're not able to provide the prepaid cards, which actually is on the next slide. Since we're not able to provide those prepaid cards until people check in at the hotel, you'll have to pay for this up front. And next slide, please. So these are the prepaid cards. So for those receiving prepaid cards, those are people who have arranged their travel through our Amex travel agency. So they're either flying or taking Amtrak. We will have a prepaid card that will be available for you to pick up at the meeting registration desk once you come in. The money on there is the reimbursement fees for meals outside of the conference, ground transportation, baggage fees, just incidentals. So this is a really convenient way for both the meeting mentors and the scholars to have funds on this card to use while they're at the meeting. In order to process any reimbursements, whether it's on the prepaid card or afterwards, we need both mentors and scholars and other participants to complete a W-9 form. So we have a link to the W-9 download, which is a blank form, which we'll need you to complete, and then submit that through the Dropbox in the link that we have there. So if you're not receiving a prepaid card, if you're traveling by car, or for some reason you've booked your own flight, not through our travel agency, you will have to submit reimbursement forms and you would be reimbursed for that after the meeting. Just a reminder about the registration desk. We're going to be open between 1 and 8 on September 14th. That's where you'll check in for the meeting, get your name badge, receive your stipend card. We're telling students that, because we're aware that some students don't have credit cards, what they can do is use the prepaid card for the hotel incidental hold. So we're telling students to come get their prepaid cards first in case they need to use them for the incidentals for the hotel. If you arrive either before 1 p.m. or, way later, then please check in at the hotel. So in terms of meals, the meals provided during the meeting include dinner on the 14th, breakfast and lunch on the 15th, and breakfast on the 16th. So in particular, dinner on Friday the 15th will be a dinner on your own, and we encourage meeting mentors and scholars to form groups to be able to go out and have dinner and get to know one another, enjoy each other's company. Those will not be organized by us. They'll be organized organically by meeting mentors and scholars. So, as Mike said, we encourage you to take out not only your own scholars, but other scholars that your scholars might meet or whatever, and form very friendly dinner groups and get to know one another. One more thing about meals, is that they are all going to be buffet style, which will allow you to pick and choose what you want to eat. And also, we have submitted all of the allergies or dietary restrictions that you've indicated on your registration to the hotel to give them a heads up. But all of the items in the buffets will be labeled, and they might say, gluten-free or lactose-free, and it's up to you to pick and choose. If you have any questions about if something contains gluten or lactose or whatever, please flag down the hotel staff, and they would be happy to let you know and to assist you in that area. So with all those logistics, I'm going to turn it back over to Jamila, who's going to tell us about the Hoopa App.
Thanks so much, Tara. So as many of you have probably seen in the emails we have pushed out, we are encouraging everyone to download the Hoopa app ahead of time. This is the same platform in which you would have registered for the meeting. So all of your information is there. You can build out your conference profile. If you're in the app, you've probably seen there's a lot of conversations already going on. So it's a good way to make connections, plan some of these meetups for different meals at the meeting. Or there are some people that want to go for morning runs or want to go to other activities in DC in your downtime. This is a great way to start engaging with people before the meeting even starts. So if you have not downloaded it yet, Rachel just put a link in the chat, and there are apps for whatever type of technology you have. You can also get a desktop app if you'd rather look at it on a larger screen. This is where our agenda is. We've added more details as the weeks have gone on. So if you haven't been there recently, we have our entire agenda up. All of our concurrent workshops are uploaded in there now. So you can see a little bit more detail about what you can expect at each part of the day. So we would encourage you to upload information if you're facilitating a workshop. If you have any questions about how to do that, please let us know. But that's a great place to put resources, any materials you want scholars to have ahead of time. This is a good place to use those. And then if you want to continue conversations that you've started during the meeting, this is a really good way to keep all of that information in one place for people to look back to. And as Mike mentioned, we probably don't need to say this, but we do really encourage you to facilitate connections and networking throughout the meeting. Students may be hesitant, but initiating these interactions or even just validating questions that they ask during the meetings, letting them know that they're doing a great job can really mean a lot, especially for students that are attending their first professional meeting. And so we have a sheet here that lists out all of the links we shared. We have some great resource documents that'll help break down a lot of the different pieces of this meeting. If you have any questions, obviously still feel free to reach out to us. But these are good resources to have on hand for yourself, but also to share with your students to make sure they feel prepared to engage in this meeting and really make the most of it. We are present on different social media platforms and we'll be using those throughout the meeting. So we encourage you to connect with us on Twitter or X, if that's what you were calling it currently. We are also on LinkedIn and Instagram. So if you'd like to connect with us on any of those platforms, we'll be sharing items throughout the year for the STEM Rec, but also specifically during the conference. We have some hashtags that we would encourage you to use throughout the meeting. Our official hashtag for the meeting itself is STEM Scholars Meeting 2023. We also have a couple other hashtags that you can use, again, throughout the year or whenever you're exploring DC or just making your way to the meeting. Specifically, we wanted to highlight My STEM Journey, which is any moments of traveling or any moments you and your students want to commemorate throughout your STEM journeys. And then as you're exploring DC, getting to know more about the city throughout the week, we are excited for you to be able to use the hashtag STEM in DC. Anything that you want to share with us, anything that you want other meeting participants to see, these are great hashtags to use, and we really encourage you to connect with us, but also with all of the other meeting participants. So as we mentioned earlier, we would love your feedback from today's event. Just if you can follow the QR code that's on the screen, you'll also get an email at the end of this meeting that tells you how to get to this survey. Very quick, I'll only take a couple of minutes, but just to let us know if this was helpful, what we can do in the future to make these more productive events for you to attend and to make sure that we are serving the needs of the STEM community well. And with that, we are excited to move into the question and answer portion of today. Feel free to keep putting questions in the chat. You're also welcome to use the raise hand feature, but I will go ahead and take our slides off the screen so we can see everyone a little bit better. Heather, go ahead.
Thank you. So how much of this information is getting to our students? Are we the go-between for our students? Like I was taking some screenshots as we went. Is there anything I'm not supposed to tell them? Like lots of questions there, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So we hosted a Know Before You Go info session, and we had about 100 participants. Majority of those were scholars. We aimed that info session to answer scholars' questions. We did post the resources from that. So we have a recording and all of the tip sheets. We'll put a link in the chat to that page, and it's also linked on the slides. So we shared very similar information that we've shared today, minus sort of like the potential places where mentors can help. But all the items about logistics, travel, stipend cards, and there's lots and lots of questions. We've been receiving many emails directly from students, which is great. So we've been replying to them, providing tip sheets and documents and resources like the info session. So we welcome you to share, and have conversations. Nothing is off limits or hidden, and guide them to the resources and the links that you're discovering today as well.
Thank you.
All right, Indira.
Yeah, hi. I filled out the form to assist in sessions. So when will we know where we are supposed to go?
Good question. So we will be sending that information out next week. We have a deadline of today for people to fill out that form. So we want to make sure we get the last kind of stragglers of people who haven't yet filled it out. And with that information, we'll be able to see where the areas of need are, about how many people, and we'll send you emails saying, thank you so much for, again, volunteering to assist in these ways. We'd like you to assist in this area. Another similar question that we have received is that, what if I'm not assigned to anything or things like that? We welcome you to attend any of the sessions or any of the activities of the scholars meeting. As Mike had said, we welcome you just to be a friendly face, walk around, assist, answer questions of students. And, it's okay if you may not have a particular assignment, though chances are we'll likely pick you somewhere.
All right, I don't see any other raised hands at the moment. So Rachel, do you want to pull some questions from the chat?
Yeah, thanks, Jamila. How about this first one? Will there be a list of available workshops soon? Jamila, I guess I'm directing that to you. I'm sorry, I didn't specify.
Oh, no, you're good. So yes, we do have a list of the available workshops currently in the Hoopa app. So if you go to the agenda, they'll be listed out during the 2 time sessions that Tara noted. So you can see all of the ones that are there. There are titles as well as brief descriptions that have been provided by our meeting mentors that are facilitating those workshops. But of course, if you have any more detailed questions about the agenda, we're happy to answer those.
Thank you.
I'm also going to put in the chat a link to the Hoopa agenda, but we really encourage you to be able to download the Hoopa app and log into it because there's so much available once you're in that app. But this is just a brief, like you can click on it link and it's the same information that matches what's in the Hoopa agenda. But we strongly encourage you, if you're having any trouble getting into the Hoopa app and finding the events, please email us and we'll help you troubleshoot that because we want to make sure all meeting mentors are able to access the event through the Hoopa app.
Great. Thank you, Tara. Tara, I think the next question would be a great one for you. When will the meeting mentors get their assignments of where they'll be helping?
So hopefully we're going to definitely send them out next week. We just want to go through all of the submissions that we received from the form and parse out where we need to place certain people. So we will be sending emails to everybody next week.
Thank you, Tara. Tara, the next 2 I think might be able to be combined and go for you. 1, how much money is on the prepaid card for the scholars? And 2, how do people know if they'll be getting the card for or will need to do reimbursement after the meeting?
Good questions. So those, like I said, those who book travel through our Amex travel agency are the ones getting prepaid cards. So if they did not book through our Amex travel agency, we will not have a prepaid card for them, and they will need to submit reimbursement forms after the meeting. The calculation of per diem and average round trip ground transportation, all of that summed up equals to $225. So those who are getting the prepaid cards that are flying or taking the train will have $225 preloaded onto the cards that we're handing out.
Thank you, Tara. And the next question I think again would be great for you, Tara. If someone can't find their hotel information, what should they do?
Good questions. That's a common one that we've been getting. Please shoot us an email at steminitiative@AAAS.org, and then we'll be able to resend your hotel confirmation to you.
Thank you, Tara. Jamila, this next one would be great for you. Will there be any tip sheets on how to talk to scholars who might be different than you?
So we have a few different tip sheets that we've created. One that Tara sent out a little bit earlier is related to how meeting mentors can engage inclusively with all of our scholars that are attending. And that outlines a couple of different ways in which you can make your presentations accessible, but also ways in which you can engage outside of those presentations. But we will also be preparing an FAQ based on today's call, as well as the scholars specific information session that we had previously. And so with that, we'll emphasize some of the points that were brought up today and make sure all of that information is readily available and easily accessible.
Great, thanks, Jamila. And I want to make sure I kind of relayed the question properly. If it's a tip sheet more scholars focused, you may of how to engage with other students who might be different than you. Jamila, I think that's something we could maybe draft and follow up with. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. There's definitely lots of information that we can put out for students specifically, as well as our meeting mentors. So having those types of tip sheets available for anyone who might want to access them, we're always happy to continue to create more or improve on the ones that we've made already.
Great, thank you, Jamila. Tara, I think this next question would be for you. Can we invite students to attend if they are just a week or so into the semester next fall? Or is it attendance reserved for more senior scholars?
So I'm not sure if this question is coming from somebody who's a meeting mentor or not, because we had an application process for faculty to nominate scholars to attend. And we had an application process for faculty to apply to be meeting mentors. It's a problem of numbers and a problem of space. So we are very limited in the capacity, the physical capacity of our meeting spaces. And that's why we had to do a scholar nomination process to help, narrow down that universe. So we have about 1,000 scholars. And in this case, this year, we have 100 meeting mentors. The guidelines for nominations is that we needed the scholars to be sophomores or higher. And I think that was the main criteria in terms of level. Of course, they needed to be funded by an active STEM program at the time. So those were the two major criteria for scholar nominations. So I imagine next year we will do something similar. And as we said, this year, the registration is now closed. So we're not able to accept any other scholars if they haven't already been accepted.
Thanks, Tara. The next question I actually think I'll take a stab at, and Tara, you can jump in if I'm wrong. The question is, other than the Dropbox link in the chat, is there another place for scholars to upload their W-9 forms? And how can scholars confirm that these forms have been received? So the primary way that we would like to have the W-9 submitted is through that link. You'll notice if you click on that link, you're not able to look at anyone else's W-9. So what happens is they go into a secure box on my end that I can take a look at. If you'd prefer to send it by email, you can always email it to me and I'll put my email in the chat. And for any scholars that are nervous if it didn't go through, they could always email me and I'm happy to check on the back end that we've received it as well. Any more questions? So interesting. Hey Jamila, you might have this handy. The link didn't actually work for the W-9 form. Do you mind putting that in the chat?
Sure, I will grab that now.
Thank you. Any other questions, please feel free to either unmute yourself or throw them in the chat.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm clear for my students. So the $250 on the card, and thank you for that. I think that's going to be so easy. I was worried about my students and travel. $225.
Yep.
I wrote it down wrong. Thank you.
That's okay.
Oh, I did write it down wrong. Okay, I just said it wrong. So they can use that for any meals that aren't prepared. They can use that for the Uber back to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
What about snacks and stuff? Like,
yep.
Okay, so anything that not anything, they can go buy souvenirs, but like food
incidentals. Yeah, incidental
incidentals.
Travel costs. Yeah, so that's snacks, meals, ground transportation, baggage checks.
Okay.
Those are the main things. Getting around DC.
Okay.
So if they wanted to buy a Metro card or things like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Just make sure that card is just a cash card, right? They don't,
Yes.
it's not linked to, they don't need approval. They can just use it as a cash card.
Yep. The money is already loaded onto it. The other question we get asked is, what if they don't use it all? Well, it's on there for them. They can use it. They don't have to send us unused funds.
Sarah, another question came in the chat for you. Do students need to save receipts if they have the prepaid card?
No, because students with prepaid cards will not be submitting reimbursements. So there's no need for them to save the receipts. They would just spend the money on the card. If students are not getting cards, if they are traveling by driving, or like I said, if they, for some reason, arrange their travel outside of our Amex travel agency and we weren't able to prepay it, then they should save their receipts, because they will be submitting a reimbursement form and they will receive the same, in terms of cost of meals, they will receive the same cost of meals amount, and then we'll just reimburse them for their specific round trip travel costs.
Tara, just to make sure it's clear, and to Heather's question again, so this is a per diem amount, right? So this is the average amount. This is it's the federal per diem, right? It's it's what we are allowed to provide based on the locality for these meals that aren't being otherwise provided at the meeting, plus the cost of travel, plus the cost of things like that. That it is like, the student should consider that card like they were handed the cash. That is what has been calculated to cover their. So Heather, you said they can't use this, they can't use that. If a student wants to go to McDonald's and spend $8 a meal, they can pocket the rest. We hope that they, take advantage of the fact that they're in a great city with a lot of great things to do, but these are low-income students. If they want to try to, if they ride the metro and eat as inexpensively as possible, they could bring a little extra money home, and that's fine. That's all legal. That's all allowed. This is all above board.
Yeah, it's just a way for us to give them the cash up front and to not have to process reimbursement forms and save receipts and all that stuff. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for the scholars to attend and participate. Like I said, the one kind of catch is because we aren't able to hand out, because we have to physically hand out the cards to the scholars as they check in. There's that lapse of time for them to get from home to the Marriott Marquis, that they would have to pay for whatever they're doing, a Uber or a Metro up front. But then once they're at the meeting, they'll have the card with the funds on it. Go ahead, Heather.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize.
I'm trying to get, I want to get a university excuse for my students. And so, because, they're missing 2 days and I don't want some professor to say, whatever. Is there any way I could get a letter that said what this was? Because it'd be more official coming from you than saying, hey, we're doing this workshop. It's really great. They should go.
So I have gotten a request like this before, and I've asked the scholar if it would be sufficient for them to use the "you've been selected" emails that we sent specifically to scholars. Would that work? Because we can resend those to you.
Let me ask our dean of students, and if that would work, then we're good. Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Because then it says, dear Heather, you've been selected to participate. Yeah. Good question.
Thank you so much, Tara. I have two questions that might be able to go together again for you as well. So the first question is, do mentors get the same amount of money on their stipend cards as students do? And then the other question was also about traveling and cost. So the question is, I heard a lot of students talking about taking an Uber from the airport, which was about $40 to $60. What is the cost of a Metro card? Seeing that Uber might take up a bigger amount of the money on their card.
Also very good questions. Yes, meeting mentors who are flying or taking train, that are booked through the Amex travel agency will receive the same $225 stipend card, because then you would not need to submit reimbursements. That would be your reimbursement up front. Metro is very convenient and very cheap and affordable. So this is why I think in the tips document, if you pull up the ground transportation tips that we've created, we've outlined ways for students to get from the airports to the hotel, and in each way included the Metro where it was available, because for instance, to get from Dulles to DC, it could cost between $2 and $6 if you take the Metro. The Dulles airport has a Silver Line stop in the airport, so you don't even have to leave the airport, and you can get on the Metro. And we have an explanation of how to go from that Dulles Metro stop to the closest stops by the hotel. So we strongly encourage, if students want to save costs, we totally understand them needing to save costs. Metro is very cheap and efficient. Another thing we're encouraging is if students wanted to meet up, if their flights arrive around the same time, say, 2, 3, 4 students meet up, which they're already starting to coordinate on the Hoopa app, they can get one Uber and split the cost 2, 3, 4 ways amongst each other. And that might be another economical way for students to travel. If students are traveling into Reagan Airport, it's really, really close by. That's very convenient and easy. Dulles is a bit further away, but like we said, there's a Silver Metro line stop there. It's very convenient. The issue is BWI Airport is a bit further away, and there is no Metro available there. So those students would likely have to Uber or Lyft. If students want to, I've done this for a few students who are nervous coming into BWI, and I'm able to look up the flights of the other scholars, and I can see if other scholars are on the same flights, and I'm able to send an email to 2 or 3 of them and say, hey, just notice you're both arriving at BWI around this time, connect you with one another, and that way if they did want to split the cost of an Uber or Lyft, they can.
Thank you, Tara. Next question, what is the deadline for the W-9s? Sarah, that was for you. Sorry, I forgot to say who it was for.
I thought you were going to ask it to yourself because you're the one collecting these.
Why not you?
That is our hopeful deadline. We understand if, ones are going to come in late, we're not going to not accept them. The other thing is that we will have a few blank forms in person for those scholars who didn't complete it online. We'll just have them on the spot, complete it, and hand it to us. We are not able to hand out a stipend card to anybody who has not submitted a W-9. So if they get them in ahead of time, that'll just make things a lot easier. We'll check them off that we've received it. But for the ones that we haven't received, we're going to flag. And like I said, we're going to ask for them to complete the form on the spot before you can hand out that card.
Thank you, Sarah. That was the end of the questions in the chat. If there are any more, please feel free to put them in or to unmute yourself.
One more thing about the W-9, since it's an oftenly asked question, is do people need to submit a W-9 if they're doing the reimbursements afterwards, like if they're driving? The answer is yes, there. In addition, those people need to submit a direct deposit form because we'll need to have that information as well to provide the reimbursement.
It looks like we have a raised hand from Judah.
Yes, hi, this is Yuta Heller from UW Tacoma. Just wondering, and this is probably just nitpicky, but if I have an expense getting to my home airport from my home, that is a reimbursement form, right? Because I won't have the card in hand yet, the prepaid card. And so that will be a reimbursement that I'll do after the fact. And then from there, once I have the card in hand, I will just use it to get back to the airport and back from home from my airport and all that. Is that my understanding that correctly?
Tara, would you like to outline that process?
So this is where it gets tricky. The prepaid card includes all of the reimbursement allowable for that traveler. So you would not submit a reimbursement form for an expense between your house and your home airport. You would just have to cover that up front, and the expenses would then be on the card kind of to reimburse yourself for that upfront coverage. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. That makes perfect sense. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for all of your questions and being so engaged in today's session. We are really, really excited to meet all of you next month. It is coming up very quickly. All of the questions that we have in the chat will be saved. We've made note of a lot of the discussion we've had today to include in additional documents that we plan to make to help make attending this meeting a little bit easier for all of you as well as our students. But as always, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. All of us have access to the email that you've probably seen come across your email several times, but we'll drop it in the chat. We're at steminitiative@AAAS.org. Also, feel free to ask questions in the Hoopa app. We're always monitoring that as well. Today's recording and additional resources will be made available on our website after today. But please feel free to come and say hi to us when you meet us in person next month. We can't wait to see you. But that is it for today's session. We hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.